whatever.
I mean,
So introduce yourself. Who are you? Why are you here?
I'm here because you called me here, and I'm your dad.
Okay. More specifically, who are you? What do you do in the church?
I do lots of things in the church.
Like?
Like come to church, like praying at church, like Bible study at the
Okay.
church.
What is your role?
Oh, do I have a role? I'm
Yeah,
a
what is-
member of the church.
Beyond that?
Beyond that, you're getting specific.
I am getting specific. Yeah, that was sort of the point.
So I'm a little more than a member. I'm a deacon.
Okay. And beyond that,
That's what I am, a deacon.
a deacon,
Yes.
the head of the deacons.
Yeah, some people call me that.
Okay. Yeah, so you are the head of the deacons. So
Yes,
tell
I am.
me a little bit about how you came to the church in the first place.
Well, I drove up in a car. We parked. Your mother and I walked in. We met the people.
Uh-huh.
The pastor at the time was Tom Lazenby.
Right?
We liked the church. We had been going to another church,
Okay.
a Lutheran church,
Right.
and that church closed down. So we were looking for another church. So we came over here. Main reason, it was across the street. And we thought, well, maybe we'll try it out.
Okay.
We came. We felt like how did we feel? Well, we felt welcome at first.
Okay.
It took a while to get to the point where I felt like I was a part of the church.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, you were going to a Lutheran church before. With
Yes.
Mom. Where was this church?
Oh, now you got me trying to figure out the name of the town again. I'm old. And my mind don't work that well anymore.
I'm trying to make a point. We'll get
I
there.
know. Well, it's past Kansas.
Okay.
Wait, it's way past Kansas. And that's not Kansas, Kansas. It's Kansas, Oklahoma.
Right.
It's got an Indian school on it.
Okay.
And it was a nice Lutheran church.
Nice. So you went, what? How long do you think you drove to go to church?
That church?
Yeah.
Oh, 15 miles, easy.
15 miles. So 20, 30 minutes worth of drive.
Yeah,
Like that.
but that's not
Yeah.
the longest drive we ever made to a church.
Sure. Yeah. Now, okay. You guys were making that drive to go to a Lutheran church that you liked over yonder in Oklahoma somewhere.
Yes, just west.
Yeah. Somewhere over that way.
West.
Closes down, you're looking for a new church, and so you go to the one that's right across the street. Now, I imagine that for you guys, you had looked at other churches in the area as well.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we might have went to one or two, but I don't recollect them because they weren't rememberable.
Says a lot about those churches.
Well, yeah, it does.
Got to be careful with what you say when it comes to that sort of stuff.
That's what it,
Yeah. So, how long have you been going to First Baptist Colcord?
First Baptist Conference, at least 25 years.
Yep, at least 25 years. It's about as long as I've been alive.
Let me think about that for a second. Yeah, you were born in 2000, so
Yeah.
I would think so.
Okay, so You've been at this church for at least 25 years.
Yes.
The immediate question that comes to mind is why? Because there are lots of people who go to a church, they like it for a while, and then they leave after 5, 10 years. Maybe even less.
This church is home.
Okay.
And what I mean by home is it is our church home. We've grown to love the people, to love the community.
Yeah.
So we decided that it's like our marriage. We're committed.
Gotcha.
And we're going to stay committed.
I see. And obviously this has been through a lot of hardship in the church. I mean, 25 years, something's got to happen.
Ups and downs.
Obviously, yeah.
People come and people go.
Right.
And the ebb and flow of a church is, this church is probably like any other church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have your good times and you have your bad times.
So where do you think the church is right now?
It's right here.
You think it's a good time or a bad time?
I think it is neither good nor bad.
Okay.
I think right now the church is in a rut.
A lot of churches are that way.
And we need to get out of the rut.
Yeah. So we're going a little bit back to Tom Lazenby and some of the stuff that he was doing at the time. Because obviously what he was doing was pretty good if it brought you guys to the church. Were there a bunch of other families that joined as well, right around the same time?
Yeah, there were a few families that did.
Yeah.
A few families that had left that had come back.
Mm-hmm.
And, between then and there, a lot of people come, a lot of people are left.
Yeah.
But right now, we're at the more left than we are coming in.
Right. Well, a lot of people got older.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah. Eventually you get old, and so you
But that's why you're here.
leave one reason or another. So, what do you think was going on in the church that brought you guys here? What was different?
What was different?
Sure.
Really not a whole bunch different. That's probably the problem now. The church was friendly, the people were friendly, except for a few people, like always.
Yeah.
And when we came to the church, Brother Lazenby wanted to make sure that we knew what the church was all about.
Right.
So they put on a class for new Baptists, new members, so we could learn about the Baptist church.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was very interesting, and we learned a lot about the church, and we liked what we learned, and we liked the people. We got to know them. We got to know Brother Lazenby and his wife Linda. It was just a good environment for us.
Now, I remember hearing from Mom that Tom and his wife spent a lot of time in the church praying over people coming.
I believe so, yeah.
And obviously they had put together a program so that people who were just coming into the church would be able to find out kind of as much as they could, about what it means to be Baptist, but probably a lot about what it means to be in this particular church, right?
Yes.
So I started making you read a book.
Yeah, I got through chapter 1.
You got through chapter 1.
I'm a slow reader.
That's totally fine. I don't expect anybody to be quick with it. I probably would prefer if they weren't. But the book is all about revitalizing churches.
I think it's about a little more than that, but yes.
Sure, yeah. It's about preventing the death of a church. It's finding the symptoms of a dying church and figuring out how to reverse that process. A lot of it goes into like how to be good members of a church, how to be active in your church, right? You probably haven't gotten to that part yet. He's probably just explained the story about the guy who was
About
asking
Peter.
for him to write the book in the first place,
Yeah.
right? And so he had gone to a church for a long time. It had gotten into a rut, and the people decided that it was better to die than to change.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of churches are like that. A lot of churches get into a rut, and they think that it's better to die than to change. And why do you think that is?
People are afraid of change. If you look around in society, change is the hardest thing to do for people.
Yeah.
And if it involves them changing, they don't want change.
Yeah.
So, to me, if a church dies, it's not because of anything else but the people in the church that are unwilling to do the things they need to take the responsibility that they need to take in order to revive the church so it don't die.
Yeah. So what do you think those things are? I mean, I've already read through the book, so I know what his opinion is, but I want to hear what yours is.
I think the biggest thing is to pray to God and to have Him help us get to a place where the church will start growing again, and have Him help us figure out what we need to do in order to move the church on.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit from, I've heard it and I've seen it, both, you know.
But there's one problem. People need to start doing it.
People do need to start doing it, you're right.
And I don't think anybody can do that unless they do it through prayer.
Yeah.
And get the Lord behind them.
Well, that's one of the book spends 2 or 3 chapters talking about the fact that if you don't go into revitalizing your church, you know, going through and fixing all of those death marks with prayer, then it's unlikely to succeed.
But you have to learn what your death marks are.
Sure, and that's what the book is for. It's to help with that
To help,
process.
yeah.
You haven't gotten to the first chapter where he starts to talk about those things yet, but...
No, I've gotten to it. I just haven't started it.
Okay.
Okay?
Gotten to it. Haven't read it yet.
No. I just finished up chapter 1 today.
Yeah. So one of the first things that he talks about is a lot of churches have the tools for success, right? They do the things like counting how much offering they're getting. They count how many people are attending Sunday school, how many people are attending church, how many people are doing all sorts of things in the church. It's a bunch of numbers.
To me, that's not a tool for success.
Well,
having the people to be able to do something like that's fine.
The reason that it's a tool for success with it regards to bringing people into the church, changing the church's attitude, is because of how you use that information, right?
If you use it in the proper way.
Right.
Because in a lot of churches, that's all the church is all about, the numbers. It's a, what do you call it? Pride thing.
It is
Look
a pride
at
thing.
us. Look at what we're doing.
At the same time, churches went the exact opposite direction and have focused too little on the numbers. And that was all a response to the churches that focus too much on it, right?
Yeah.
We have this problem with society where we just look at something we don't like and then we go the exact opposite direction.
That's true.
Instead of thinking,
Or
okay, how do we how do we use this to our advantage without taking advantage of people?
Yeah. Or they get to a point where they're looking at it and they say, no, this isn't real, this can't be happening, and they drop off.
Right.
You know, you work to get a pat on the back, not only as a person, but as a church. But that pat on the back is not for your satisfaction or your gratification. It's for God.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you don't realize that, then you're doing it for your own gratification, and that's subject to fail.
Yep. And it's that attitude of the cheerful giver
Yeah.
that Paul talks about in Corinthians. You know, God likes it when we tithe, but he doesn't like it when we tithe out of obligation. He likes it when we tithe because...
When we're happy about it, when we do it just because
Right.
that's what we want to do.
Right. Out of the abundance of our heart.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, one of the ways that churches can start to look at like where they're failing is by looking at Sunday school attendance and stuff like that. You know, and one of the ways that you can do that is by correlating how many people are active in Sunday school, how many people are active in ministries in the church, and how many of those people attend the actual church service.
True.
Because a lot of times those people that are coming to church, they're coming to Sunday school, they're doing different ministries in the church. They're the ones that are out there, they're the ones that are tithing, they're the ones that are evangelizing, they're the ones that are in the church service. You know, they're doing a lot of the work
They're doing the participating.
because they see a reason for it. And that was another one of the points, was like getting down and dirty into why do we do what we do? Why is it important to have this church? Why is it important to participate instead of just being a spectator when it comes to church? Which is why it's important to have those new believer classes like you were talking about, or new member classes.
Same difference.
Same difference in a lot of cases, yeah. And so it's like, how do I, as this new believer or new member of this church, fit into the puzzle of this church? And some churches encourage you to immediately get into a ministry of some kind whenever you join the church and finish their course on, you know, what this church is about. Welcome teams, stuff like that, you know, easy stuff, whatever. But the idea is to get them involved, because when people feel like they're involved in church, they have meaning.
And they'll want to come back.
And they'll want to come back. I think that's a lot of the problem that churches face, is that people come to church, non-believers come to church because they are looking for that meaning to life. And they hear a sermon, and then they just go back out into the world.
Well, that's because the church doesn't make them feel welcomed. They don't go up to them and say, welcome, come, sit here, sit with me.
Yeah.
You know, people don't talk to them.
Yeah.
And when you don't do that, they don't have a reason to come back unless the sermons really gets to them and they decide to come back.
But we rely way too much on the pastor to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, it is not the pastor's job to bring everybody that comes through that door back every Sunday.
No, it's not.
Tell me a little bit about how you feel about the community of Concord as a whole.
As a whole?
Yeah.
Well, it's been a good enough place to raise my children.
Yeah.
You know, it has its faults, but it's got a lot of good things.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times the churches get together and do church activities,
Mm-hmm.
community activities and that, which I really enjoy about the community and the churches.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think, I mean, I've heard this a few times. Um, we've got so many churches in the area. How come the churches, not, okay, so there's what, 900 people that live here? Something like that?
In the local area, within a mile, yes.
Yeah. So within town proper, there's about 900 people, somewhere in between that. Most of the churches in Concord don't have that many members, at least from what I've seen.
True.
And so the question is, what do you think that the churches in the area have done wrong? Why is it that there's this disconnect between the amount of people in town and the amount of people attending church?
The churches aren't reaching out anymore. They have gotten to a point where they feel like, I'm too old to be doing that. A lot of people. I've done that a long time. I don't want to do it no more. Society has changed.
Mm-hmm.
There are less churchgoers, but there are also people seeking some sort of help.
Right.
And if the church doesn't reach out, do more community work in that, the churches are falling away from community work also.
Yeah.
And we need to, as a church, reach out.
Absolutely.
But you need to get the people to understand that inside your church.
Yeah.
And if they don't, or they don't want to, then your church is going to be in trouble.
Yeah, you're right. What, the Great Commission, right? Go and make disciples of all nations.
I think that's what the good Lord said.
Yeah, definitely feels like there is a lot of people that could be reached. And there are not that many people that are out there doing the reaching.
No, there aren't.
Whether it be here at First Baptist or otherwise,
I agree with you. But I believe also that there's not enough prayer.
And you're right about that. There isn't enough people that are praying for whatever the church needs, whether it
Exactly.
be...
Show us.
What is it? It's another good verse, harvest is plentiful, workers are few. Go therefore and beseech the Lord of the harvest to send workers into his fields. And so that's one of the things that's important whenever you're starting the journey of trying to rebuild a church, is saying, God, we see the area around us. There are so many people around us that need you. And we need people to go and do that.
Exactly. Not only that, we need people, but we need to take the responsibility to also participate in that.
Absolutely. It's not enough to say, you should send Joe over there to go.
Right.
You should send me.
Send me.
Send me.
But you got to have the gumption to go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that, then you need to pray about it. Say, Lord, give me the gumption to go. I want to go.
Yeah.
But I'm scared.
Yeah.
Take that away from me. Help me out. But it's all got to start with prayer.
I seriously doubt that the apostles weren't scared whenever they were told to go.
I agree. And I'm pretty sure that they probably did a lot of praying.
Yeah. I guess we should probably wrap this up because I feel like this has gone for a while already.
Okay.
But I think we'll probably pick up again sometime in the near future, whatever that looks like, probably after you've read a little bit more of the book.
Okay, in that area where the Lutheran Church was, Twin Oaks.
Twin Oaks. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, so that's about 20 minutes, depending on which side of Twin Oaks you're on.
Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for introducing yourself to the people as well. We're going to be, I'm hoping to also have this conversation with some of the other serving members of the church, just so that people can get a feeling for who the church is, who the people are in the church
Okay.
that are serving, and hopefully so that people can kind of get comfortable with us. So, yeah.
Well, okay. Sounds good.
Sounds good to me too.